Welcome back. What I hope to do today is analyze some of my most recent rapid games on lead chess. Even in the games that I won, there are probably places where I messed up and I can learn something, and especially in the games where I lost, hopefully I can learn something from those as well. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the game that I played last night. Here my opponent resigned, and probably they should have. They had just moved toward this rook. I was going to let them take it. I was just going to go ahead and push this pawn. If they took the rook, I was, going to promote, and I think I would have been all right. But according to the graph here, there are 3 places where I messed up. I can't point at them without the little box getting in the way, but if I hover over blunders, it'll show I had 2 blunders here and a mistake, and that's those 3 little humps. So let's go to those spots. Right here, my opponent messed up and gave me an advantage by playing that. I'm going to press the Z key so everything in that right column disappears except for the moves that I made. The move that I made here, it says was A4. Really? I thought I remembered putting my knight in there, but I guess I did not do that. Oh, I put my knight in there 3 turns later. Oh, no, I remember now. I was thinking about putting my knight in there, but I thought they would take, and I would take, and then they would be able to get that pawn. And so I thought, what if I put this pawn here first, and then got these pawns up here so that when I took there, I would have, a pawn advanced, a protected advanced pawn. But A4 was definitely not it according to the graph that we saw. I suppose I could have put it in there now, but again, they just would have taken it and I would have taken back. But then I don't know what I would have done. Was I supposed to put a rook on this open file or put a rook on this open file? Another reason I played A4 here was, to keep their knight from coming in here, and not that they would do it immediately because I would just take it, but I knew I was planning on moving this knight, so that would have been another reason to put the A pawn up. But no, I have no idea what it said, what I should have done, so I'm going to turn this back on here, and it says I should have played knight to E4 here, or knight to F5, one of those 2 moves, E4 being slightly better. And it says if I played knight to E4, they would have dropped this knight back to, I guess, protect the bishop, which is already defended. I guess I'm kind of attacking their d-pawn too, but, currently their d-pawn is defended, and it certainly would be if they dropped that knight back like the engine thinks they would. I'm not sure how I would find that move. What about that move recommends itself to me, is my question, I guess. And it says if they put this back here, then I would play knight to C6, and they wouldn't take it, so I'm not sure about this one. I could spend a lot more time on this move, but I've got other things I want to go through. And every time I get to one of these, after a minute or 2, I have to make a decision. Do I keep plugging away at this one move that I may or may not understand, or do I go on to the next one? I'm just not sure. But I do know that I played A4 here because that's what the move list says, and my opponent made that mistake. And again, okay, the same thing. I should have played knight to E4 or queen to E2 here. Okay, queen to E2 obviously attacks that knight, and it says that they would just put it back. I don't know that they would. Why wouldn't they come in here? That was their obvious intention, to get to one of these 2 squares, both of which are safe. So why would they go back? If I played this, it says they might go to knight to B4 or knight to C5. Both of those showed up. That's what I would expect them to do, but I would be way ahead if they did that. I'm not sure why, because from both of those, they can get to here, which is protected by this knight. Okay, well, I don't understand that either. What I played was this, which is obviously targeting that pawn. And, I was thinking of bringing this knight in here, and maybe the queen would move and I would get that pawn. But I should not have played that bishop. I should have played knight to E4 or queen to E2. Okay. And no, I don't understand why either one of those would put me up +2. Have no idea, because we're even on material. We're each missing a pawn, I think, and that's it. We're each missing a pawn and a bishop. All right, but I played this, and they didn't play their best move, which was rook to C8. They put the knight in where I thought they would, which is what they would have done had I put my queen here. And now I should have played B4. Okay, now this one I do understand. I could have just went after the knight immediately, and the engine thinks they would go back. I don't know that they would. Again, I think they might go back to where they were, so if I attacked it again, they could come right back in here. But I'm up +2 if I put the knight, put the pawn there and the knight goes back. Now, if the knight was trying to come in here, I do understand that giving up the rook for it for both knights would definitely be better for me. But yeah, I guess it's good that I could advance a pawn. But here is where I played knight to C6, and that turned out to not be great. But they weren't supposed to take it. I assumed they were going to take it, and I would get a pawn in there. But that's a mistake that they never recovered from. They were never closer than this for the rest of the game. Now I take it, and I assumed that they were either going to block it or, get in a position to attack it. But the only move here that keeps us close at all, but, under +2, is taking the knight, according to the engine. My opponent did what I thought they were going to do again, which is coming after the pawn, and I can't protect it. Now I played b4, but it wasn't one of my best moves. Now I'm supposed to play d5. Wait, why would I play d5? They would just take the pawn. Oh, and then I would get the... No, that I would not get the bishop. I would play d5 because I want to. Let them have the pawn and then bring this bishop back here. And they wouldn't take the bishop. They would run away, even though they would be ahead on material at that point. Okay, well, I don't understand that part either, but here it says b4 wasn't horrible. It kept us in that same range. And I thought this was good for me because if they run away backwards, my pawn can get it. If they run away over there, I'm going to protect my pawn. If they run away down here, I'm going to capture it. Same thing over here and same thing over here. I guess they could have run away to e6. I don't guess I saw that one during the game, but if they did that, I was going to protect my pawn, which is why the engine says they should take that pawn now. But they didn't. They took this, and now I'm way ahead because I can take the knight with my pawn. So I did. And now their bishop's hanging. And, you know, there's a situation here with rooks and a bishop going to have a discovery as soon as that pawn moves. And they have to take my pawn one way or the other, and then I'm going to get their bishop. But instead, they run away with the bishop, which allows me to take this. Now, of course, I'm attacking the queen. Both of those pawns are defended. And whenever they get the queen out of danger, I'm going to move this pawn forward and be attacking the rook. So here I was pretty sure I was ahead. But that little section back there, starting here, yeah, the 3 times I was supposed to play knight to e4, I don't understand that. Help me out. I'm going to go on to the next game. In this game from the night before last, I got checkmated on move 24. And I have learned my lesson. In games where my opponent does not make any mistakes or any blunders, I'm not going to learn anything. Several times I've tried, actually dozens of times I've tried, and I haven't learned anything. I'm not going to skip it though. It does say I have 2 blunders. Well, when I hover over it, the graph shows that I had 3 blunders, but the list says I had 2. Clearly this was a problem here, so let's take a look. What did I play? I played bishop to f6, but I should have played something else. Probably the pawn to f6? No, that would have undefended this pawn here. Right. Okay, so that's why I was doing that no, that pawn is already defended. Okay, so I should have done something else. Maybe brought this bishop back, maybe put my king up. Maybe that's what it was. Putting my king on h7. Let's see. Oh, king to h7. Okay, I figured it out because the pawns currently are all protected except that one. So I had to come up here. And it says they would have taken over here on the B file. I'm pretty sure they were going to take right here. That's what all of this setup is about. If I moved here, they were going to take this. I assume I would take back. I don't know if they would give up the bishop there. They wouldn't even have to give up the bishop. If they took here and I took back, they would just slide in here and that's a check that I can't block. I would have to move the king out of check. Then they could do this. And if I took back, they would take back, and I don't know. It was about to get pretty harsh in there, but yeah, okay. I did guess king to h7. It says my next best move was king to g7. I did not do that. I put this bishop up here, which allows them to take here, which they did, and I should not have taken back. I should have brought this bishop and run away with it. Then I'm pretty sure it says that they would have moved forward, but no, they would have taken here, which would have been a check. Pretty sure. To be honest, I thought I was already lost here, and I think that has been a factor in several of my games. I have to stop assuming that I've lost. I do that a lot. I don't know why. But here, yes, I definitely thought I had lost. I had no idea what to do. I guess I didn't see that that pawn was defended and that this pawn wasn't. But even now that I guessed king to h7, I still don't feel safe over here. Because again, they're going to rip this open. They're not going to do what the engine thinks and capture over here. No opponent at my level is going to have this attack going on the king side. And then when I make a defensive move on the king side, suddenly ignore all that and start playing over here. If anything, they're going to launch another pawn forward. They just got too much. But I do have to stop assuming that I've lost. All right. If nothing else, that's what I'm going to take from this game is, to not just make a move that doesn't really help anything because I think I'm losing anyway. Protect the undefended piece. I think I could have figured that out. The night before that game, I won this game when my opponent resigned. I'm only up 2 points of material here, and my opponent looks like, a pretty good attack coming in, but I guess this was too much for them and they didn't know where to put the queen. I don't know, but I think if I was them, I would have, maybe put it over here where it's attacking an undefended pawn and it's relatively safe. Let's see what the engine says they should have done. I thought I saw queen to b6 there for a second, but it's settled on queen to g6 or queen to f6, one of those 2 places, not the thing that I said. I will say that I wasn't entirely convinced I was ahead in this position, even though, I had just taken here and I knew I had a threat on their queen, but I was worried about this bishop. They have a rook on an open file. I was going to have to be really careful. Did I make any mistakes in this game? I did. I made a couple over here. Okay, well, let's go look at this. Turn off the lines. What did I play? I took this pawn. Well, it looks like a free pawn because they only have 1 defender on it, but I should not have done. I probably should have castled. Let's look at the lines. No, I should have played d6. Because I have an undefended pawn too. Okay, I get it. Wait, that's not d6. It says I should have played d6, which is over here. Even if I was playing with the black pieces, that wouldn't have been d6 because this would be the e file if I was playing with the black pieces. But yeah, I should have just pushed my d pawn forward and I would have been very slightly ahead. Or I could have played d4 and it doesn't say they would have taken there. It says they would have taken here. Well, I have had trouble finding those. I think the idea of that, and I'm not sure, not 100%, but I think the idea of that is to restrict movement on my opponent's side of the board. It gives their queen fewer options. It keeps that d-pawn from moving, so it gives this bishop fewer options, so those two pieces back there can still get out, but they're going to have a harder time of it. And it does say if I played there, they would immediately get their queen out, which attacks that pawn, and I would ignore that attack on my pawn and play h4. All right, so now I don't understand this, because if I'm pushing it forward just so they can take it, and they would. Okay, well, I don't understand that. Let's go back to this one then. I do know that I have, as many defenders as they have attackers there, so if they take, I could take back, and if they take, I think I would come out ahead on that. No, we would come out even on that. A bishop and a pawn for a bishop and a pawn. So I don't understand that either. I do understand castling. And I understand this move that I thought it was telling me to play in the first place, d3, because it defends this undefended pawn. And I understand the move that I made. What was the problem with this? The problem with this is that they can just take it. Oh, well, they did. And I took back. Wait, what's the problem? That they can play rook to e8, and then I can get my bishop back. But I should have brought it back this way. Really? Oh, I thought I should have kept it on the same diagonal pointed toward the king. Pulling it back this way doesn't help. Okay, well, I don't understand that, but I brought it back here where it's protected and it's helping defend that pawn in case I wanted to push my a pawn. But of course, now they can take here, and they did. And now I need to play d3, but I castled. So they're going to take that pawn too. I didn't think about that. Well, I thought, hey, I can add attackers to that pawn by pulling my rook over here, but that's a mistake. I have to play d3. Wait, they're already a pawn ahead, and I have to just go ahead and give them another one? Well, it doesn't say what would happen. It just says that's my best move, but it doesn't suggest what they would play afterward. Oh my. Or it says I could play a4 now. Okay, well, I did the thing that I said, which was to add another attacker to this pawn, but they can defend it with d5. And they did. So I was behind for a huge section. I was behind all the way to over here. I'm down minus 1.4 or 1.3, and all they had to play was rook to c4, which is defended by the pawn, and attacks two defended pieces. Not sure why rook to c4 is their only move. It's the only move that keeps them ahead. Would you have found this? Question of the day. I don't know that I would have found it. We're still even on material, by the way. The engine says their second best move is rook to d8, which is honestly what I thought they were going to play. I have just moved my queen here, which is attacking that pawn, and I'm attacking that pawn twice. So I thought they were possibly going to move that rook over to defend that pawn. Or maybe they were going to bring this bishop up here, to trade off bishops. Because if I took, they would take, but then I would get that pawn, so it made sense to play rook to d8. What did not make sense is what they played, which was giving away the bishop. And after I took back, they resigned. So I wonder what they were thinking, why they played this. Did they think I wouldn't take back? Or did they not see that my rook was defended until after I took the pawn? Maybe that's it. Because when they took here and I took back, I don't know how much longer it was before they resigned, but then they resigned. And I guess it's because they saw that my rook was defended. Whereas before they took there, they didn't see that. And they thought if I took back, they're going to have checkmate. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. But yeah, back here, help me out. I don't understand this if they're just going to come take it. I don't understand that. I don't understand this if we're going to have an even trade at that point with this and this. We're each going to lose a bishop and a pawn. And then they're still probably going to take here. And then I won't have a d-pawn. Oh yeah, I will, because I'll take back. I don't know. I don't understand any of my best moves here, this or this. I'm glad I won the game, but I don't understand, why I went behind early on. Apparently I went behind even more here, but it wasn't listed. Oh no, that's where I played rook to e1. Yeah, this is the other place where I don't understand why that was bad, or why I should have played d3. And again, it is not saying what's going to happen after that. But let's say I play it. Is it now going to say what's going to happen after that? It says they will push this forward to get out of the way of the rook. I think that's the point there, is they want to get that pawn out of the way of the rook, or they can play d5. They're about the same, but they probably would push this, and my only move would be to take it, and they wouldn't take back. Okay, it took Stockfish a long time to figure out that that was their best move. That would have been automatic to a human, I think, had I taken. So they take here, I have to move over. It's not my only legal move, but I'm not going to block that with the rook, right? That would have been horrible. So let's move over. Now they're going to play d5, and we're just even, or very, very close to even. If I put my queen up here or over there, what does that do? I understand what queen to f3 does, I think. No, wait, no, I don't, because that's defended. Okay, well, it's a good thing it didn't get that far, because I don't understand that either. Hopefully I'll get something out of the next game. In this game, I won by checkmate on move 43, and according to the graph, I was ahead almost the whole time, except for right here and right here. Apparently, I had an early lead that I gave away, so let's take a look at it. According to this, I had one blunder and one mistake, one right after the other, right there where I dropped down from this peak. So my opponent has just done this, and I know I don't have to take with en passant, but I thought it would be fun. Okay, but I should have done something else. What was it? Wait, is it going to say d3, even though they can just take it? Sorry, that's not d3, that's d6. But is that what it's going to say? Because that's what it said in the last game, and I didn't know why, because they were just going to take it. Should I have gotten my knight out in preparation for castling and just ignored that pawn that they tried to slip past me? Okay, I'm going to say getting the knight out to one of these squares and castling. Well, the hilarious thing is it says d3. But d3's over here. I was talking about d6 when I said d3. d3, that's my best move. Or h4. h4. Okay. Oh my. How bad would knight to f3 have been? Oh, almost the same. Knight to f3 would have been better than those other two moves, right? Those other two moves said +2, and this says +2.1. Wait, what? Go back. It says d3 or h4 would give me a +2.0 advantage if I played one of those two moves. But if I played the move that I guessed that it was going to say, which is this, I would be up even further than that. What is going on? Okay. I know that my depth on Stockfish isn't a lot because I'm trying to, not have my computer burn down like it sounds like it's going to do every time I increase the strength here. But even at the weaker strength, it should still be smarter than me. Maybe not smarter, like able to tie its shoes or chew gum and walk at the same time, but it should pick better chess moves than I do, even in a weaker strength, I would think. But anyway, yeah, knight to f3 was better than the two moves that I suggested according to this evaluation here. But I took with en passant, which brought us back near to even, and that's because they can just take it. Well, I knew that they could just take it, but I got one of their pawns too, so it's an even trade. And now now it says knight to f3 or d3. But not h4 now. I don't know why I didn't play knight to f3. I think it's out of habit. I played knight to e2 because in the English, that's where it often goes. At least the version of the English that I play, because usually this pawn's not that far advanced. Usually it's right here on e3, and I put the knight on e2 right behind it. So I think I did that out of habit without thinking, but I should have gone up here since I don't have to worry about their e-pawn. Or I could have just gone there, I guess, to let out the dark squared bishop. But this put me behind. Oh, that's as far behind as I ever got? Okay. Let's see, what was my opponent's big problem here? Here we're about even, and they should have brought the queen up. No, that's not d3. They should have brought the queen all the way up. Wow. Or just put it over here. But instead they did that, which gives me the huge advantage. I think it's because I can check them. Up until a few months ago, I was missing that all the time. Just a lot. But I found it here. And I just assumed they were going to bring this back, which is what it says they would do, because that would also protect this bishop and block the check. Or bring this back. I don't think they should do that because I would get the bishop. But wait, why would those two be the same? That's what I don't understand that. How are these two moves the same? Well, I definitely would have played knight to c6 had I been playing with the black pieces here, because it's the only thing that'll protect this bishop. But for some reason, that's just as bad for them. And it does say I would take their dark squared bishop if they blocked with their light squared bishop. But what if they did this? I would have to find d4. I would not have. If they had played this, I would not have found d4. Almost positive. But when I checked, my opponent moved their king over. Now, I don't know, but they might have been trying to castle and didn't realize that you cannot castle when you're in check. And maybe they tried a couple of times to move it. I don't know, how much time did they spend on that? 3 seconds? They couldn't have tried very many times. But that's the only legitimate thing I can think of, is that they were trying to castle and it eventually dropped that piece on f8. But yeah, I can't imagine why they didn't see knight to c6. Maybe because they had just moved the knight in here and they wanted to leave it there. I don't know, but that allowed me to take the bishop with check, and I was ahead from there on out. Well, again, I understand my opponent's mistake and or blunder, but I don't understand mine, which is a little frustrating. Right here, I had to play d3 and just let their pawn sit there. And I'm up 2.0. Oh, no, no, no. No, this is the one where I played this and it's even better. Okay, that I can find. And I need to start finding it when I have already pushed my e-pawn this far so that I don't have to worry about their e-pawn threatening my knight over here. I need to play knight to f3. It's just better. Well, for one thing, it puts pressure on this pawn. They have to defend that pawn. It says they would do it by putting the knight over there. Maybe they would. But yeah, this I could have found, and it's better than what the engine found, which was d3 or h4. Okay, it still hasn't found those. If I click this little plus, will it eventually find knight to f3? How far should it go? I'm over my time here, but I just wanted to see if it's continuing to count upward here on the depth. We're at depth 28, 29. Now it's found A4. And here we're at depth 35, but my computer's fan has kicked on. It is running because my CPU has gotten hot. And again, I'm not using the heavy version of Stockfish here. I'm using the light version. So I imagine if I was using the heavy version, my computer would probably just, melt into a pile of slag. But it still hasn't found knight to f3. Okay, well, I was just doing that as a matter of curiosity. I'm not going to sit here and let it run. If it's taking that long, on my end, it's already taken like 5 minutes to get to depth 41. But yeah, in this situation, should I ever reach it again, I will try to remember to play knight to f3 instead of taking the pawn there. I thought it was okay to clear off my front d-pawn because I have a whole nother d-pawn back here. But somehow that gave away all my advantage, almost all of it. And I still don't know why. Thank you for spending your time here. Hopefully you're understanding your mistakes and blunders. And if you understand mine, always feel free to put it in the comments. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.